If you enjoy this content, you'll enjoy Sentinel Training. We're different because we actually care, and that pays off. TrainSentinel.com. Try it. You never know where you might wind up.
Oh, that was apropos.
That's good, isn't it?
That was fucking hilarious.
How are you? Congrats on your new gig.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
How's how's Ivy? What's happening there?
Ivy is doing really, really well. So yeah, I'm not sure how much you know about it or anything, but it about a year ago, even more than a year ago, I think it was about May of last year. She got a really bad virus called the adenovirus, and one of the symptoms we thought that was from the virus was she started peeing blood. And so of course we were like,
she was terrified with that.
Yeah, I mean, she was terrified. We were terrified, right? So mom went to the emergency room and they were like, well, this is one of the effects. She had 103 fever. She was, she basically had everything, right? So they're like, no, this is the
7. Is she 8? 7?
She was 7 at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
She was 7. She's 8 now. And they said, no, this is one of the side effects from the adenovirus. She'll be good. She just has to, bad flu. And one of the side effects can be, it can cause bladder infection, So we were like, okay, no worries. About 3 weeks later, she wasn't super sick. She started complaining just about like, she got home from gymnastics. She wasn't hungry. And we're like, well, that's fucking weird because she's ravenous when she gets home from gymnastics. Right. And that night started peeing blood again. And we were like, okay, fuck. So we went to the emergency room again, and they suggested that we go see a children's nephrologist, right? So kidney specialist. And we found this unbelievable, her doctor's just unbelievable here in Vegas. Her name is Regina Friedrich. And when we got there, she basically was like, listen, it's one of two things. It can be something called PSGN, which is essentially like a post-strep disorder.
Okay.
And she was like, and that's what we hope that it is. If it's not that, and she said, unfortunately, I don't think it's that, because generally with PSGN, hematuria or blood in the urine is generally only happens once.
Okay.
But what this is showing signs of is something called IgA nephropathy. And IgA nephropathy is a rare kidney disease. And it generally just kind of like, Cliff Notes version of it is that it produces the kidneys have trouble filtering protein. Right. So there becomes an abundance of protein in the kidneys. And over time, it can create damage. And, in some cases, obviously, you can imagine, what will happen. And then in some cases, people can live with it and treat it and be normal. And it's generally about 50-50, it's about half. But in a lot of cases, down the line, it can cause the need for transplants and dialysis and things like that. Right.
Okay.
It's incurable. I think when she mentioned those two things, of course, we were like, well, she doesn't have any other symptoms. She doesn't have any kidney damage. There's no hypertension. There's no swelling. There's none of the other things that generally go along with this, that people figure out like that's how they have it. Right. So of course we were like, oh, it's not going to be this. It's going to be PSGN. Well, about 2 more times between, I think it was probably at this point, August or so of last year and December, she got sick. And generally what happens with this disease is when you get sick, a fever or, a cold or anything like that, one of the symptoms is you start to pee blood again. And so that happened again twice.
So it's just
And
like
I
her
think
immune
that
system is compromised, and then it just exacerbates the problem, basically.
correct. Yeah. And so, you know, at that point, the doctor was like, listen, I feel 90% sure that this is what this is, but the only way to know is to do a kidney biopsy, which is invasive, and we have to put her out, and she'll be out of gymnastics for 2 weeks. And so we did it in December. And it came back that she had IgA nephropathy stage 2, not stage 1, which we wish we had caught it back then, but we had no idea. But luckily, not stage 3 or 4. And what's good is, you know, with where she's at, it's very low stage 2. She doesn't have any at the time, didn't have any kidney damage, you know, and
Is it
fully
reversible?
functioning.
Like, can you go backwards, or is it just a slow
It's
edge
not
towards
reversible.
4, basically? Okay.
Yeah, it's not reversible. But
And
what it
does she have to
is
like change? Does she
treatable.
eat less? She eats less protein. Is it that kind of stuff?
So a couple things, right? The fucking kick in the balls with this whole thing is just how difficult it is to treat in pediatrics, because none of the drugs that have been approved
Oh
have been
yeah.
approved for pediatrics. So what they do is they just throw a bunch of stuff at you. So, you know, and generally it's steroids, high dose steroids. So we started with 3 days of, you know, intravenous massive doses of, you know, Solumedrol, or basically prednisone, right? And then since then we've been able to taper off sometimes, but then it's gotten a little worse, and then we have to go back on. So right now she's on every other day. You know, she's on 30 milligrams of prednisone every other day. And right now it's kind of holding steady, you know, where I would say her numbers have gotten better, but they're not where we want them yet.
Okay.
And the other thing that we do is we've altered her diet. So sodium intake, and then you got to be careful about protein intake, and especially animal protein, which is really sucks, man, because, you know, like, we like to eat meat, bro. And
What's she
so
like? Like, what's her mood like, or like how aware is she of?
you wouldn't have a clue. She knows,
Yeah.
you know, she'll tell you, you know, my name's Ivy Cotler. I'm 8 years old. I love gymnastics, and I have a rare kidney disease. Like, she's just, you know, she'll fucking tell you. And she's crushing it. You know, she's one of the best level, you know, young gymnasts in the state. And I mean, she's an amazing girl. She's just won student of the month. And, you know, she's absolutely inspirational. She's an incredible girl. And our goal is, you know, obviously right now, you know, some of the other things behind the scenes, just we've been in a fight with the insurance company for the last 3 months to try to get her on a different medication that has been approved for adults, but not for pediatrics, but it's been used in pediatrics, and it's been shown to be effective, and it has considerably less side effects and all those things. And they have denied us 4 times. They won't fucking get back to us. You know what I mean? So now we've switched insurances to try to see if we can go through the process with a better insurance. And, you know, it's one of those things, man, where you just can't let yourself go down the rabbit hole. You know, you can't because it's paralyzing, right? Ultimately.
That's the thing. I mean, the other
you,
day I was like, I can't remember what we were doing, but I just remember sort of catching myself looking at my son, who was just so fucking annoying sometimes. And I was like, God, if anything happened to him, I don't know what I'd do. Like, no matter
yeah,
how irritating he is or what he's doing, he could set the house on fire, and you're like,
yeah,
God, if he even just fell over, my heart would break. Like, it's so hard.
it's different, man. Somebody told me
Yeah.
once that when you have kids, right, you no longer live with your heart on the inside of your body. And that's the truth, you know,
Yeah.
like, it's just different. And so, like, you know, I think the most frustrating thing for us is aside from, you know, all the bullshit with the insurance company and the unknown and everything, it's just, you know, you want your kids to be able to flourish and do all the things they want to do and live their dreams and all those different things, right? And so we're just doing everything that we possibly can to make sure and that's the case, you know. Um you know, and it's one of those things that is a life changer as far as just perspective in the way that you look at things and the way that you think about things. And it certainly was the case, you know, aside from initially, right, when you get the news and at first, you're just fucking mad all the time and you want to go. I mean, and you try to be strong. You don't want her to see it and all that stuff. But there are times when you just go outside and scream at the top of your lungs or punch something. And one of the, it just, cause it came out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, the news is just a situation where it's just like, this is forever, and
you're also like basically helpless. Like, as in, it's not like it's
helpless.
Yeah. You can't put a Band-Aid on it. You can't, you can comfort or be present or whatever, but it's not like it's not like a flat tire where you can change it, or it's not like something that you can just manually fix or repair or whatever.
No.
What about
or take it away and give it to yourself? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll
take it in a second. Yeah.
And is it just complete bad luck? It's not like, because I know you had autoimmune issues and stuff. It's not genetic. It's just like a random fluke.
Just a fucking random dude. Just a random kick in the nutsack. Yep. Yeah.
What how do you move? So like here, I don't want to get into fucking insurance again. I've got it. I went down a rabbit hole one day.
No, I don't care. I'm fucking. We can talk about anything,
like,
dude. I feel like we've talked about this once before.
When you swap though, if you swap insurance company with the new insurance company, not just be like, fuck off. Like, we're not taking on. Like, would they not be like, she already had it before she came here, so we're not
now. So yeah, that they can't do that anymore. It used to be the case. Yeah, pre-existing conditions, it's called. But no, it's fine.
What about, have you looked into community care? The CrossFit Medical Society and their community care thing?
Yeah, so the problem is that this medication that we're trying to get, and that's essentially the change is, this specific insurance company has a much better policy on off-label drugs, essentially.
Okay.
And so we are hoping that, I'm sure we'll get denied multiple times, but I'm hoping to, that you go through the whole process and eventually they allow what's called a peer-to-peer, which is where the doctor gets a chance to meet with the medical examiner of the insurance company. And they basically have a powwow and it's like, hey, listen, these are the things we've done. These are the numbers. This is the clinical evidence from other pediatric cases where this has been used and been successful. And here's the bottom line. Would you rather try this and see if it works? Or would you rather take the chance that, a couple of years from now, there's dialysis or other things that are 5,000 times more expensive than this fucking drug? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's one of those scenarios where here's choice behind door A is this, behind door B is this, like behind door A.
We know what's behind door A.
Right.
If we skip door A, we don't know what's coming down the road. What's the story then with is there what's the success rate of, I guess transplant is like plan Z, but like what's the success rate there? Is there a reason that that's so far down the list? Is there not a high success rate for those?
It's a 75%, and when I say 75%, the success rate of kidney transplants is incredibly successful. The issue is that in 25% of the cases of this disease, it comes back.
Oh shit! Okay.
So even if you have kidney transplant, there's a 1 in 4
it's not like
chance.
Localized to the actual kidney somehow. Right. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's fucked.
I'm sorry, man.
I will say this though, man. I like the IgA Nephropathy Foundation has been unbelievably helpful in this. It's crazy. Like, I had no idea about this, and they've helped us with trying, with strategies to try to be able to get this drug approved. And we have an incredible doctor here that, she's amazing and has gone to bat for us and for Ivy. And, it's obviously when people find out, it's just one of those things. I just think in general, right? Like you find out about kids having something and it hits you a different way. It just does, especially as a parent, I mean, I know you can understand. And then obviously I think, it hits you a different way as a parent, and it hits you a different way about changing perspective on things and changing priorities, and maybe what before was important or what you felt like, you were doing. Maybe that's not what you should be doing anymore. Maybe there's something you need to change, and I think that was a massive part of this whole situation, even though
Were you working too much, do you think? Or do you feel like you were working too much when it was
I think that
like
I was
Underdog?
working too much. I don't think it had to do with work. I think it had to do more with focusing on the things that I love to do with work, right?
Okay,
Like,
yeah. Not the
and
business
Underdogs.
bits, basically,
I'm
yeah.
not. Listen, man. I mean, like, I'll be the first to admit that's not my passion. You know, that kind of came with the gig, right? And
It's the same. It feels like it's the same for 99% of people who want to go from coach to affiliate owner or coach to online programming, that they're like, this is I'm my own boss. It's going to be me. What the fuck are all these forms? Why do I have to do all this stuff? Yeah.
And listen, it was amazing, and I don't want anyone to think like I'm very proud of what we did with Underdogs. I think, you know, in a short period of time, we were able to do some amazing things and obviously create an incredible reputation and had a lot of success. But, you know, when this happened, you know, it was a scenario where it was like half of my time is being spent, you know, on all the shit behind the scenes I don't want to be doing. I mean, I just don't want to fucking do it, you know, like it's not appealing to me. And what's appealing to me, and I mean, you know me, you've known me for a lot of years. We've been doing this, you know, I think our first one was 5 years ago, you and me
Yeah.
did this. And, you know, and my love of coaching and being in the mix, you know, and being able to build and motivate and all that. That's what I love to do, man. You know, the coaching, the culture, the things like that. Not the fucking answering emails and payroll and social media content and trying to figure out how to do, you know, fucking Wix and this thing and that thing. And it's not like, what the fuck, you know? And honestly, after a while, you know, I think you start to resent it, you know, and you start to just feel like a hamster in a wheel. And the community is amazing. The athletes are amazing. I just got tired of all the bullshit, you know, behind the
Yeah.
scenes. And I was kind of by the end doing a lot of it myself, you know, and so for me, it took a few months of deliberation after this thing with Ivy, and then obviously when Kiefer left, and you know there were multiple, you know, there were multiple things that happened but the icing on the cake was Ivy, where it was just like, what am I doing? Like I first of all, I want to be able to cook our meals, do the things that I want to do, you know, like just be there, be present, and also in the long run, you know, have stability. And the other thing was like, I love coaching. I'm really fucking good at coaching. I know I am. Like I've been doing this a long time, and you know, with pretty decent success. And you know, I know that that's what I love to do, and I don't love to do the other stuff. So why the fuck am I doing it? You know? Um, and
Was there
that was
like
kind of the beginning of the
when
calling,
you
you know?
when you were doing Underdogs, when you started Underdogs, and it was sort of like you, Carrie, it was kind of just you and Carrie for a while, and then
At
it was
first,
like, Danielle and
Bethany,
Bethany and Matt, and
Tola,
it sort of,
Matt
yeah, it
DeLugos.
sort of grew
Yep.
a bit, and then
Hmm.
coaches came on, and I know Jared
Yep.
Graby was there for a while. He was doing kind of branding and
Yep.
stuff, and it sort of
Yep.
grew, and then it seemed to just kind of shrink back, as in the cohort seemed to shrink back down to like a
Yeah.
more core group, and then for the last maybe 12-ish months, I suppose it's been you and Casey more or less doing a lot of the stuff.
Yep.
Was that conscious? Did that happen because you were thinking, okay, we need to strip back to basics, or is that just sort of the natural flow of where the company was going and stuff?
I think when we first started that you know, ultimately you're trying to figure out what you want your culture to be. I think you're just trying to figure out, like, you know, and if I could do it all over again, I would probably have kept it a little bit smaller. You know, as far as some of the alphas in the room, you know, and I think we were able to go from being really small to growing immensely in a very short period of time, and then all of a sudden it just being like, this is kind of becoming too fucking big, like right now, for everything that's going on. And you know, I feel like it probably upset a few people, especially athlete wise, and you know, and then I think, you know, I think that it got to the point too, and this is something that, I think is tough to maintain. It's tough to continue to remain a team. And what I mean by that is that where the collective group works together to try to move everyone forward. And instead of where one person or multiple people are working hard to move forward themselves and their athletes, but then there's jealousy and irritation about when other people do well. And I think that crept in, and I think that was challenging. And then I got really fucking irritated about that. And then I think in the last year, it's basically just been really small because it's been easy to maintain, and it's been a crew that really enjoys being around each other. You know what I mean? And obviously we have remote athletes and a remote community and subscribers and stuff everywhere, and coaches that live elsewhere. But in general, especially with what's been going on for the last year, for me, I just felt, I felt like it was important to me to have a place that I really enjoyed going to, and where there was no fucking drama at all. And so I think that's why, for the past year, I've kept it small and wanted to keep it small.
Is it, you talk about culture and stuff, is it difficult when that starts happening? So, like when one person leaves, and then that sort of becomes a culture that it's almost like a revolving door, that like one person leaves and then people realize like, oh wait, we can go. And then someone else starts thinking like, maybe the grass is greener somewhere else and maybe I should leave. And then it's sort of like, there seemed like there was a period of time where from the outside looking in, obviously lots of time has passed in reality.
Yeah.
But on the outside looking in, it was like, oh, Kiefer's gone. Oh, Ricky's gone. Oh shit, everyone's going. Like that's what it looked like from the outside. Is it hard to put up with that sort of noise and to kind of stop that becoming the narrative?
Not really. No, I think if you looked at most of the camps, that's happened over the years. You look at how many people started one place, ended another place, or are different places now, were at other places, are still at other, like, I don't think so. And honestly, in the last year, I really didn't give a fuck. Like, I remember somebody asking me about Ricky when he left, and it was right in the middle of the stuff that was happening with Ivy. And somebody was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Am I okay about Ricky?" Like, listen, I love Ricky. I mean, he and I have a good relationship still, and we'll be fine. But I was like, about Ricky? About an athlete leaving? Like, we worked together for 3 years. He made the podium. He won Wadapalooza twice. He would have won the fucking games at 23 if he wasn't hurt. Like, are you joking? We had an awesome run. He was incredibly successful. I helped to change his image. Like, he was a fucking pariah when he started back with me, and now everyone loves him. Like, I love that I had a hand in helping him to rebuild and reclaim his image. Like, that's amazing. We had an unreal run. Am I sad? Sure, I'm a little bit upset, but compared to what we're dealing with my family and my daughter, that's small potatoes, man. You know what I mean? Like, so the way that I looked at it for me was like, nah, it's not, that's not a thing for me, and I'll be honest, like in the past year, I feel like I've really, I've really put a lot of my time and effort into building Alex and I, and I say, you're lucky in this job, right? In our business, you're really lucky as a coach if you get one athlete that just becomes family. It just become like, there's just an unspoken bond there, and I had that with Carrie. And I have it with Alex. It's hard to describe. And, for me, being able to see her success over the last year, obviously to where she had started to get to. And then obviously, this injury, which has really, really been devastating and something now that I think though will make her stronger in the long run and change her perspective on how much she loves the sport and loves being able to do what she does, because she almost got it taken away, but that's the shit that's important, man. And I feel like, all of these scars and all of these experiences and all the things that you experience over the years, it just helps to build you as a human, and it helps to put things in perspective. It helps you to know who you want to be around. It helps you to know who you want to work with and what type of a team you want to be with, and who are your true friends and who aren't, and the people you can trust. And I just feel like all of these things have led me to where I am right now and have led me to this decision. And I couldn't be fucking happier about this right now. Honestly, like, I feel like as far as a weight being lifted, as far as just, business wise, not having to, do that stuff. And I love the Underdogs, what we've done. And obviously, like, the majority of our Underdogs athletes will come to HWPO, and we've, and HWPO is putting together an unbelievable, opportunity for our subscribers and that stuff, as far as programming and whatnot. And if people think it's a good fit, but ultimately, this to me is something that I feel so like reinvigorated and motivated, because I can focus on the shit that I'm really good at.
Yeah.
I know I'm talking a lot. Sorry, bro.
No, you're good. I'm enjoying it. Alex is obviously important, and like it's been clear that she's been important for a while. Was there ever a period of time where obviously there was a stretch where things were, there was a lot of drama happening on Underdogs, and a lot of reported drama and reported kind of infighting and stuff, like a few years ago. Was there ever a period of time where Alex or any of the others were like, I need to go, like I need to, or like was there ever any of those conversations where it was like, if this keeps happening, like I can't stick around?
Yeah, there was, of course. Yeah, that's part of the reason why, what happened. I mean, like there was, I mean,
it's crazy
what,
when you think
like,
of those forks
3
in the
years
road,
now,
like that. If you
ago?
had done nothing,
Yeah.
if you had just said, it's fine.
I couldn't.
Like
Tried for a long time.
What way Alex could have gone, and like it's nuts, really.
No, at that time we couldn't, and obviously everybody kind of, but people don't really know exactly what happened. But obviously there was a period of time when we just had to say, hey, it's not working, and you're gonna have to find somewhere else. And then in general, I think, but I would say at that point, yeah, there was grumblings from a lot of people. They were basically like, hey, like, things are tough at the moment, and we know how it can be fixed, and you got to fix it. And, so we had to make some decisions. But, I would say, as far as Alex is concerned, I think that a lot of those experiences made her better. I think she, in general, she spent the first 2 years of her time with Underdogs just getting her ass beat every single day. She got her ass beat by Carrie. She got her ass beat by Bethany. She got her ass beat by Danielle, and she kept showing up. She kept showing up. She didn't complain. She kept showing up. She didn't complain. And then all of a sudden it was like early 2023. Right. And there were, I think it might've been just a couple of workouts that she did that week. And I came home to Ashley, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I'll be honest, I did not see it for a while. I knew she'd make the games in 22, and I told her she could, and she did. And she finished like 24th, I think, 24th, 25th. But, but there was a period of time where the trajectory changed, and I started to see it like early 2023. And
flashes of potential.
Oh my God. Just stuff that she would do that I was like, this is elite shit. Like, this is the type of shit that like you look at and you're like, that's special. And she was, she finished 5th that year. And honestly, I felt like 5th was probably the worst she could have finished, and there were a couple of events there that were just like, oh yeah. But, in general, yeah. And since then, I think the toughest thing for me with Alex is her believing my belief, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Where I kept telling her, you can be the best. No, yeah. I was like, you can be the best in the world. And I don't know if you see it, but I've been doing this a long fucking time. Like, I see it. I know it. now there are things we got to do, you know? And I think that just prior to the injury, you know, or to, I would say the injury, because it was to the car crash. I mean, fuck, you know, and just prior to that, I think it was the first time where she looked at me and she was like, I see it. I see it now, you know?
Great timing.
And now it's, yeah, great fucking timing, you know? And now,
At least she had that thought go, it'd be worse if she didn't have that thought. Like if she was still had the accident and was like, God, do I really want this? Like, do I really want to go back? Whereas at least if she had the kind of spark to,
but I will tell you this, and it's, you know, so prior to the injury, and I don't know how much she's going to want me to talk about this, but I'll talk about it because I like being transparent about this stuff because it might help somebody else. So prior to the accident, she was experiencing a lot of anxiety, you know, a lot of anxiety, like sleep issues. I think just some training day issues where she would be, you know, anxious about workouts and high heart rate stuff where she just couldn't get it to go down. And
pressure based, do you think? Or
I think so. I think it stemmed from expectations, you know. I also think it stemmed from Alex is just not that type of person who's obsessed with like being the best, right? So when she's hearing these things and she's hearing me talk because I fucking talk, and you know, I think it can put pressure on, right? And then the accident happened, and I feel like a couple of weeks after, you know, after the initial shock and the initial like, oh my God, I could have died, and now I want to go live and have a baby and start a family. It's like, no, you don't want to do that yet. You know, and so she looked at me and she was basically like, you know, she's like, I realize now that I get to do this. I don't have to do this. I get to do this. This is something that, you know, like is a fucking privilege, you know, and I'll never take that for granted again, you know. And I think having to watch the games, you know, having to watch the multiple competitions now that she's been able to miss, and another one is coming up this weekend, you know, it's one of those things where it's just like, fuck, man, I'm not taking that for granted again, you know. And that doesn't necessarily mean that every day you're just like, yeah, I can't wait to train. There'll be some days where you're like, motherfucker, I got another day of running, another day of snatching, right? Like those types of things. But in general, I think it changed her perspective in a good way, that like, man, I'm lucky. Like I'm lucky I get to do this. I'm lucky that I'm blessed to have this talent. I'm lucky that, and she's very religious, and you know, like one of those things where it's just like, you know, she has a God-given gift, you know, if you look at it from that perspective. And if you don't, that's fine. But that's the way that she looks at it, right? And in my opinion, there's nothing worse than wasted talent. Like the ability to be able to do the things that she does, and a lot of these athletes can do. It's remarkable. And I just try to remind her of that. And, you know, when the days are tough and I'm an asshole and, you know, I'm on her butt and all those types of things. And, you know, and I feel like we're getting there. We're getting back, you know, we're getting back to where we were, and I'm sure we'll get there and beyond.
She can start taking THC if the anxiety come on to
Never, that one's never going to go away, is it?
What were you surprised at that, at the kind of furore that surrounded that, and the fact that became a story?
No, I don't think so. I think it was her own fault for saying anything on a podcast. Like, hello, you know, but she's so nice and innocent, and I think she just didn't even think about it. And no, I don't think so. I don't think ultimately that you know, I don't think it was a massive deal, but I certainly can see where some people were like, oh no, by the letter of the law, this is, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, we don't even really know, I don't think, like what the levels were, because it's such a small amount in the, you know, in the gummy, I'm assuming, or at least that's what I was told. But it turned out to be moot. And I certainly think that everyone can agree that it's not performance enhancing. So I think ultimately, you know, the right decision was made.
Would I be right in saying that you are, maybe jaded is the wrong word, but like you've sort of had enough of that side of CrossFit, like the gossip and the drama and the kind of stories and the kind of the news that's not directly related to what's happening on the field of play, say?
I don't know. I think I have mixed emotions about it because I recognize that we are in a position as a sport to where I know we're a niche sport, and most of the time, like, as much as I hate to admit, most of the time, like, any news is good news because people are talking about it. Like that, I do recognize that. I can't say that sometimes it doesn't piss me off. I would be lying if I didn't. And obviously I think people understand, like, the other thing too is that I'm just protective of my people, right? Like, I'm protective of my athletes, and especially when it's Alex, right? I mean, like, you're talking about somebody who, there's somebody who is basically part of our family now, and spends half her time with Ash and my kids. It's like I have a 24-year-old, daughter, in a sense, in some ways, I so I think I take it personally sometimes, and I probably need to shut the fuck up. But at the same time, I'm not going to shut the fuck up. So
yeah, because it's funny. Like it's the people. A lot of the people who get annoyed about it. I'm not saying you, but like people in comments and stuff kind of tend to get a bit pernickety about it.
Yeah.
And they're kind of saying, like, no wonder like CrossFit's such a joke, and no wonder people on the outside don't pay attention to CrossFit. And it's like, look at literally any sport. Like, the bigger it is, the more of this there is. It's just like one of my friends DMs me sometimes and says, oh, like, how can anyone take CrossFit seriously when there's a video like Dense Updates going out on YouTube? And I'm like, dude, just look up, like, any sport has a TMZ thing, like, has the
if it
recap
was
of
Ronaldo,
yeah,
that would be on there. You know what I mean?
like,
for sure.
Like, soccer, like football, soccer is that's the sport that I follow away from CrossFit, say. And I can tell you so many, like, I vividly remember so many things that were huge news that had nothing to do with football at all. And then things that were like nothing, little gossip things, but I remember the details so vividly. And it's like when the back page becomes the front page, or when the back page, I don't know what the papers are like there, but here the sports at the back. And then you flip to the middle and you're on the entertainment page and there's a footballer in it. And nobody following football is like, no wonder FIFA is such a joke, that nobody takes us seriously because we have pictures of fucking athletes coming out of bars or getting in fights or arguing or whatever. And then I think you couldn't take CrossFit seriously if you didn't have that. Like, if you didn't have those kind of stories and those kind of rumors, and it's entertainment, and it's like it's candy floss for your brain, basically, where you're just like, none of it matters, but it's entertaining as fuck.
Have you seen the new documentary on Netflix about the Dallas Cowboys?
No, I actually popped up yesterday. And I was like, God, do I like football enough to watch?
Yeah, you'll fucking love it. You'll love it. You'll love it because it's less about football and just more about, like, Jerry Jones is the first one to tell you that, like, any news is good news. Like, it doesn't matter. And I would be lying if I said, some of it doesn't get under my skin, but I recognize we are in no position to, I think to withhold a lot of the stuff that goes out there. I mean, and I think it's part of the reason why I feel like it's my duty. I feel like a very strong responsibility to do podcasts and give content and talk about things and be open and transparent. I mean, like, like I said, you and I have been doing this for 5 years. I don't think I've ever said no. I would, because first of all, it's important that we have content. I feel like it's important that we, that everyone shares their opinions, because there are multiple opinions. Not everyone's going to agree, and that's the fucking way it is. But you and I can still have a conversation, right? Yeah. Like, we can still do that and be friendly and be civil. And even if we're not civil, and you and I are civil and friendly and always have been, you know? It's like, but even if we're not, I still think it's important that I would give, even if I disagreed with someone, even if I was pissed off at someone, I still feel like it's important that I get on and talk, you know, and that we try to hammer it out. And I don't know. I think it's an American fucking issue right now that, like, God, everybody's on these sides, and you can't have a conversation without it just getting brutal. And I just have a problem with that, you know? Like, I have a problem with, like, you and I might disagree, but I still feel like, well, let's go fucking have a beer and we can chat about it. We may not agree the whole fucking night, but we could still have a beer and toast to your kids and mine. You know what I mean? Like, that's the fucking thing that drives me crazy. And I feel like it's important for me to still, you know, to still be a voice, you know, and whether I'm not going to agree with everything, I'm just not. It's not the way it's going to be. And I might get pissed off, and I might comment, and I might say this, but I'm still going to give an interview. I'm still going to talk. You know, I'm still going to be there. And I feel like it's important for me. And, you know, some people may like it and some people may fucking hate it, but that's just the way it's going to be.
No, I respect it. I think if we did go drinking, I'd at least get some content out of it. Cotler answered my text this morning about the news despite my recent posts. There you go. Case in point.
100%.
In a world where half the population wants to argue limitations will make you weak, a man like Cotler that believes in others is a godsend.
Thank you.
Don't ever forget the green dildo got more attention than Caitlin Clark. Just to really hammer home for
that green dildo has gotten a lot of fucking cock.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's a real dichotomy to Seb on. The HWPO stuff. I mean, like, that's kind of a case of what we're talking about too. Like, I was out for a walk with my wife earlier on, and I said, "Oh, I'm doing a podcast there." She said, "Who's that with?" And I said, "Oh, Cotler." And she said, "Oh yeah, I haven't had him on in a while." And I said, "Yeah, he joined HWPO." And she was like, "What?" So, like, I mean, it maybe shouldn't be news, but it's gossipy. It's like there's that aspect to it too, where she's like, "Whoa, wow, I didn't see that coming." She just barely follows the sport now, but she was like, "Whoa, I wouldn't have seen that coming. That's crazy." And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "Wasn't he with Underdogs?" And I was like, "Yeah, he owned Underdogs." And she was like, "Oh, that's nuts. I wonder how that, like, you know, that the human story side of it is more entertaining than the corporate side of HWPO purchase." You know what I mean? Like, it makes it more engaging or whatever. And the more that you see the people acting like people rather than employees or just coaches or just athletes or whatever, the more buy-in you get. And the more buy-in you get, like, the argument, I think, that, oh, well, no wonder sponsors avoid CrossFit or no wonder we can't grow the sport, is just fucking dumb. I think if that's the argument of why it's happening, I don't think they're the limitations.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like you said, is this news? I mean, I guess it is. I think what's more interesting is what we're talking about now. Like, why? You know, it's the nitty gritty behind it, not necessarily the role or, you know, what I'm going to be doing or any of those things. I think it's the why, and I think it's important on a human level just to discuss, like, Underdogs was doing well. Like, I could have stayed there, you know, and we could have continued it. But at the end of the day, for me, it was what was most important to me was to really outline, like, what am I doing and what's most important to me. And the two things that I came up with, like, at a base level was my family and coaching. And this move, to me, it just enables me to be able to do those things on a much higher level, you know, and a more consistent level and a more stable level, and give more time to those two things. And that right now is the most important thing to me.
How did it come about? Like, did you go to them? Did they come to you? Did you see what Michelle did and think, oh, that's not a bad idea? Like, how did it happen?
Yeah, no, I really didn't think about that. So I would say it took several months, where, because the biopsy was in December, and after that, I'd say there was a month or two that was just hard to really focus on anything other than what we were dealing with in-house. And I would say after that is when I just started to have the idea of, like, how much longer do I really want to own a business? You know, I know I want to coach. I love coaching, and I feel like I've still got a ton left to give. And I would, I think that the noise in my head started to get louder and louder. It just did.
Were you thinking about
And
quitting or no?
no, never. I never was thinking
Okay.
about quitting. I
Just
just
paring
just
right
the
back, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, like just the thought of not running a business anymore. The thought of closing, down Underdogs, but I didn't know what the fuck I would do. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't sure what that would mean. I mean, I feel like I've developed a good enough reputation that hopefully someone would be interested in working with me, and obviously I was still, coaching the athletes that I coach and trying to make sure they were getting better. Um, but something happened about I can't remember exactly when it was. We had a High Rocks here in Vegas.
Yeah.
Frazier and O'Keefe came, and me and Ash, my wife Ashley, for people that don't know, went out to dinner with Frazier and O'Keefe. And we're just shooting the shit, and they were kind of asking us what was going on, and it was right in the time when
You're like,
all the
I'm looking for a
bullshit was
job.
going on. No, I wasn't. I didn't know. We didn't. You're right. We didn't talk about that at all. No. What happened was like Ash just told him about what was going on with Ivy, and she got really emotional. And we were right in the mix of when all this stuff was happening. And over the next several months, O'Keefe, who I have always been friendly with, and I think we developed, I would say, even a better relationship doing the Death by show. So we were, kind of weekly on that for a while, and I've always been very friendly in person, but we've never worked together, but he literally, like every couple of weeks, just started texting me, "How's Ivy doing? How are you doing? Everything okay?" And this was consistent for months. And that meant a lot to me, to be honest, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I, when I started to think about what I wanted to do, so it was after the first WFP, and I texted O'Keefe, and he was like, "Hey, we're having a little party at our Airbnb. You're welcome to come later, if you want to celebrate, and bring Alex if, blah, blah, blah." But anyway, so I went over there, and, we just sat and talked for like 2 hours. And I basically was explaining to him, like, listen, I just don't know what I want to do. I know I want to continue to coach. I just don't know, and he said, "Well, listen," he said, "I don't want to step on your toes, and I don't know if you're interested, but, if you are, we would jump at the chance to be able to work with you." And, I think he said, "I think anybody would," he said, but obviously, if you're interested, let's have a conversation. And a couple weeks later, we continued that conversation. And I said to him, "Listen, I feel like I just want to figure out where my value would be. I don't want to just come on. Like we need to outline this." And we started to talk about all the, kind of laid it on the table. And then I flew out there to meet with him in Boston. And then I met up with Frazier at the games. And so there was a long process of just talking it out and making sure it was the right thing. And ultimately we decided that we thought that it was, and it's been a few weeks, since basically we said, "Okay, let's do this thing." And then it was just a matter of kind of, talking to my coaches and talking to the, letting them speak to their athletes, and then just preparing the announcement to try to make sure that we, we're respectful of everybody and communities and things like that. And so here we are. And I think the biggest thing for me, was just making sure that I felt like I had something to bring and value to bring to them. And I do. And I think we've outlined some really good roles for me. And so I'm excited to get that started, man. It's official today. So day one today, and Underdogs, we're gonna, basically I'm going to close the doors and we'll, like I said, the athletes that are individual athletes one-on-one, will have the opportunity to come over. Obviously we have some coaches that'll come over, and then our subscriber base, will have the opportunity to be able to try out HWPO and see if it's a good fit for them. And I hope they think it is. And I'm just excited about, being part of a team. I have a really good relationship with a lot of coaches there. Some of them I don't know yet, but obviously Marconi and Josh and Michelle and Jake Douglas and Steve Fawcett and, that crew, like, I have a very good relationship with them. I've spent time with them in the past, and I think they were all super stoked that I was coming on board, which made me feel really good.
So who's going there? Manon, is she going? Alex is going. Who else is going? Is there any notable people that are like, no, I'm okay?
No, we haven't had that. We have some semifinals athletes with some of the other coaches. And then I had 5 games masters and teens. So, those athletes obviously. And so, yeah, I mean, I think in general, what I'm the most excited about is the opportunity to just be a part of a team and not be by myself, and feel like I got people that have my back and go to these things and be with a crew. And it's just, I'm at that point where I want to be able to, share in the successes. And
was it kind of siloed then at Underdogs? Because you said there were other coaches. Was it more separated than you think it's going to be?
Well, it's not. It hasn't even been separated. It's the coaches that are now, that I have are all remote. So there's nobody in Vegas, besides me. Like Colette Casey is down in Florida, and Casey's in Indiana, and Nick's in Utah.
Are they all moving with you then to HWPO?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you going to move to Boston or Vermont, or are you going to stay in Vegas?
Oh, no, I'm in Vegas, baby.
Will you not still be isolated then? Are they going to move to you?
Fucking cold for me. No, no. I mean, yeah. So I mean, I'm hoping we'll have some camps here and stuff, but no, and we'll do some things there. I mean, I think, like I was talking to O'Keefe this week, trying to plan to get Alex and myself. We'll go and hang with Fraser for a bit and play around, and and then obviously there's other opportunities to be able to do things. But yeah, we'll definitely, I'll take some trips and do some things and be a part of coaching conferences and obviously training camps and things like that. And I think now the fact that Vegas is still a great destination, there'll be a lot of people that are, that want to come play here too, which will be fun.
Did you live there before, Boston or no? It was New York, was it?
New York.
Yeah.
York.
Okay.
Yeah, New York. New York City. Yeah.
HWPO then is interesting. So they had, say, Steve was head of pro, and Jake Marconi was there, and Josh was there, and they were kind of the 3 elite coaches. They had other responsibilities, but they were like the people you'd see at the games or at semifinals or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jake Douglas recently stepped in as well, and Jake Marconi moved over to Strong or something. I think that Rob Potticolum's old program. So it sounds like Steve is moving. You called him head of product or something on Be Friendly. So it sounds like he's moving sideways and you're taking his role.
Director of product. I think Steve yeah. So his title is director of product. I think he's really interested in all the back end stuff.
So is that like ebooks and different program, like that kind of stuff, more so than day-to-day programming of
all that stuff. Yeah, he's overseeing all the programs, and also he and I, I mean, he's fucking good too, man. He's a really knowledgeable guy, and it's great. He and I have conversations, and it's awesome. We just bounce shit off each other, and it's fantastic. And so he and I are gonna develop the one-on-one coaching program. They've never had,
which doesn't exist currently.
No, correct. They don't have a dedicated individualized coaching program. So we'll come in and I'll come in and we're putting that structure together. And it's something that, we're doing, and we'll be able to bring to market, I would say, in the next few months. We're just making sure that we set it up and get it right, obviously. And then beyond that, I'm also coming in to help build champions, man. I mean, like, I've made it very well known, before I leave this sport, I want to win a championship. And when I say a championship, I want to win the fucking CrossFit Games. I've got multiple athletes on the podium, multiple top 5s, multiple semis winners, multiple big event winners, all that type of shit. Haven't won the games yet. And I feel like HWPO, with the resources, with the team, and with my motivation and drive, I feel like it's a pretty good situation for people. And, we'll just tell athletes our door is open. And obviously if people are interested and think that, they, want to be able to maximize who they are as athletes and people, like, I feel like we'd be a really good option, man. But I will never fucking poach an athlete or poach a coach. And
I think Danielle's looking for a coach, I think, maybe. She's
isn't she? She with Adam and that crew, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're
now,
great.
yeah.
I love them.
I don't know how
how
long term that is.
Hey, listen, I've said it before.
I genuinely didn't mean that the way you took it.
But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I loved coaching Danielle. I loved it. Now there was a lot of stuff around, but I loved it. She was fucking awesome.
So say like Brooke was there this year, like at HWPO. She was at the games with HWPO this year. So she didn't have individualized programming then?
Well, no, she had a coach, Marconi, was with her. I don't know I don't know,
or like
how
Mal
they
was there, or Hopper or Catherine. Like, how do you just mean when you say one-on-one, you mean like offered to the public as opposed to
correct?
Okay, right, okay. So
Correct.
It existed,
Yes.
but it wasn't available to sign up to unless you were.
It wasn't available to everyone, right? So we're trying to figure out now, like, who are we going to make it available to? It'll obviously be a product that you can purchase. Yeah. It's a product you can purchase, and it's a product that, but if you look at, right, like, so Underdogs, for instance, in the last several years, like, that was one of our big products that we offered, and one of the things that that we tried to build, and that's when Casey, Acree, Colette, our various coaches that came in, and a lot of those coaches have now gone to other places and are running those camps' individualized coaching program. So they came from us and went there. So that's, something obviously that other people have used, and that's cool. And now we're just trying to offer that product to athletes that are looking for a little bit more than just template programming. And that's something that I'm going to help build.
When HWPO started first, and it was Matt, and it was Matt who had said, I'll never do it. Like, I don't want to coach. I'm just going to disappear and blah, blah. And then started doing it. And then it was Mal. And then it was like, oh shit, she's pretty good. And then it was the base in Vermont and Hopper. And suddenly like this kind of gravitational pull started. It almost seemed then like the wheel sort of wobbled a bit with Mal. Then she left. And then Hopper went to Brute, and the people kind of left Vermont. That's in the wrong order. People left Vermont, and then Hopper left, and whatever. Catherine got pregnant, and things just kind of changed and evolved. I think a lot of people would have looked at HWPO starting and looked at, say, Proven starting, and then gone to 2025 and said, hey, where do you think HWPO and Proven will be in whatever, 5 years time, 4 years time? And I don't think people would have said Proven will have whatever it was, 11, 15, whatever athletes at the games, and HWPO will have one, and it'll be Brooke.
Yeah.
And there'll be nobody else. I think people would have been shocked if someone had predicted that 3-4 years ago. Do you think they've underperformed? Like, what do you think has gone awry that they're not commanding in the way that Mayhem are, or the way that Proven are?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not really sure. Other than to say that I think we've seen over the years these things are very cyclical, and you'll see 1 minute. I mean, fuck, I kind of remember maybe 2 years ago when we were talking about how Proven had ruined Brooke and Saxon, and there was nobody there. And now they got 9 million people, and I'm sure at some point in time it will fall apart, and they'll lose 20 people, and then more people will come, and some people will go, and it'll probably happen a lot of places. I think one of the things that I'm being brought in for, though, is to be able to help to bolster the roster, but also more so than that, create a culture and an environment that's very selective, and not just snatching up every athlete that's interested and every coach that's interested, et cetera. Like, I think one of the issues is, and I can't speak on it because I wasn't there, but I know from just my experience at Underdogs, was that at sometimes there's too many fucking alphas in a room, and that shit can become destructive. And it's got to be the right mix. It's got to be, you got everyone battling for the same spots everywhere. Inevitably, it's going to fall apart. And ultimately, my role, and I think one of the things that I'm really adamant about, is that this collective group of coaches and this team is that we're looking to build everyone up together, and we're not just looking to build one person here and pit that person against that person there, and XYZ, because I know it can get that way. So my eyes are very wide open about that and making sure that doesn't happen. But without question, I don't think there's a doubt in the world that, you could say right now, are they where they want to be, or now that I'm a part of it, are we where we want to be as far as the elite roster is concerned? Fuck no. And I don't expect it to stay this way very long.
Does it make it a bit easier on you, the fact that the only games athlete they had was Brooke and now she's retired? So technically it's 0, but you're bringing Alex, so that brings it back up to 1. And then you're starting from 0 versus fuck, they had 15 at the games last year. I'm like, that's a tough match to make that happen again. What does success look like?
I've been in a place where we had a lot of games athletes at the same time, and that wasn't easy, bro. Trust me. So I don't know.
Like
I don't know if
that's how training camps are kind of judged, I guess. Is like, I'm sure internally training camps are probably, if they put ego aside, training camps probably judge themselves based on how many subscribers they have, what earnings they're making, how many members worldwide, all that kind of stuff, like what growth looks like, all that. But I think fans of the sport, or like the test or whatever, are looking at it and saying, wow, just Brooke, or like, wow, they had 10, or wow, they had 6, or that's really good for them, they're small and they had 3 or whatever. So what, like, when you join HWPO, now that you're there, have you been given a metric for success? Like, is it to like sell the one-on-one programming? Is it to grow the number of games athletes or semifinals athletes? Is it to grow the subscription base worldwide? Like, what's the key aim, we'll say?
So I have not been given that, but I have given myself that, right? Like internally. And yes, so the number one goal for me, or I would say, the 2 goals, first and foremost, building this individualized coaching program to be a success, obviously, and secondly, without question, developing an elite roster that is extremely successful in high level competition. Now, does that mean 12 athletes? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to go that way. Could it be 4 to 5 who finish in the top 5? That to me is the goal. The goal is to try to create that. And then the goal is to create a feeder system where we're building younger athletes into high level elite athletes, and keeping those athletes in the system, by doing the right things for a long period of time. There's always going to be turnover. There's always going to be a bit of volatility in any sport, right? Like any sport you look at, athletes change teams, athletes go different places. That's never going to change. But the goal for me is that we create a culture where that's the exception and not the rule. And I think those are the big goals that I have. And maybe they're lofty, but at the same time, I think they're going to be attainable.
I mean, you get 2 and you're up from last year, so it's not as if to improve 100%. The numbers.
And if Alex goes and wins the games, that's going to be a big fucking step. Right.
It's all HWPO. Yeah. They get HWPO can come in and just scoop up the credit for that one.
That's what Proven did.
So there you go. Wow. With people like Vellner, then, is there any part of you that wants to like sit down and just have a little chat and say, "Come on, Pat, it's time to come home, buddy. It's time to you need to strap the boots back on and head back out to the games, and like you need one last rodeo.
I mean, I'd love to see him out there, but I don't know. Pat, I would never step on Michelle's toes. She's done an unreal job with him. He's one of the most decorated athletes in the sport. And we have a good, I would say friendship and relationship through the years. Would I love to see him out there? Sure. If there's anything I can do to help that, of course. But at this point, I feel like Pat knows Pat pretty well. I don't know that there's a lot that I can come in and add to that situation other than to, just be a fucking, guy that helps and cheers and does that, does what I can do to help her and him in any way that I can. There's just a lot of respect there.
Did you go to I know Alex wasn't competing at it, but did you go to the second World Fitness Project?
Yeah, I went there. She had a lot of, I coached Manon.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, Manon was there. So
Alex had her obligations and stuff as well, didn't she?
She did, and it's only 5 hours away drive. So the wife and the kids came too. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, okay, cool.
It was wild for me though, because I had just come from age group, and I had 5 athletes at age group games, and I got so sick, of course, coming home, the fucking flu, and was in bed for 3 days, and then hopped on a plane to go to my fever finally broke on the 4th day, and got up and jumped on a plane to go to Phoenix. But
you just got up, you gave it to everyone on the plane, you gave it to everyone at the event. You're like, well, I'm over it, so fuck you guys.
I'm over it. Here you go.
Yeah, like sitting on the plane, like
oh dude, it was shitty. But yeah.
That's 2 now. What do you think? I think we spoke after. I feel like we spoke after the first one. Maybe. What do you think now that you've seen 2 events, and that's 2/3 of the way through the season?
Yeah, I thought I saw a definite dip in the energy in number 2, and I think it's without question the games a couple weeks before, like. You saw that it was tough. I think you saw that there were some athletes that really struggled or just didn't have their juice, and that makes perfect sense.
Very careful with your choices, saying athletes didn't have their juice when they were competing.
Yeah, they didn't. They'd be the first to tell you that they didn't. You know what I mean? I think obviously, right? Like you see people who are used to finishing top 5 and didn't do that, and I feel like there's reasons for that, right? And I don't know, man. I
Are you as optimistic about it as you were at the start?
No, I'm not. And it's more so because I just think that like we have to figure out a schedule that works. Like we're gonna have to figure out a schedule that works. And also I just think we got to get all these fucking people in a room to talk and figure it out. Like figure out a cohesive season. I think that's the thing that pisses me off the most is that I think we have the capability of doing it, and then just egos and hubris get in the way, and then and it's unfortunate because like I do feel like we would have the opportunity between all the events that we have in a season to be able to create a really unbelievable cohesive season, not just for the athletes, but for the fans, for the sponsors that want to see great athletes multiple times, during the year. It's important for sports to, you look at golf or tennis who have multiple Grand Slam events and you've got the best athletes in the world that compete multiple times. And it doesn't have to be 50 times, right? But it can be more than once. And I just wish we'd be able to find a way to do that. And maybe we will in the future. And who knows what's happening with the sale, and who knows who's going to, if it's going to sell, if that, whatever group takes over, will they be able to get in a room with all these people? I don't know, man. I don't know. All I can do at the end of the day is be an advocate for athletes and be an advocate for the sport. And I was an advocate, and I've always been an advocate for the methodology. There's nothing like it. It changes your fucking life. I owned an affiliate for 10 years. And so there has to be a way for us to do this, to be able to build everything and drive everything together. At least to me, that's of utmost importance.
Yeah, I kind of share your view on the energy that, like, it's only going to get worse next year as well if they're adding another
Another one.
event as well, where it's like, okay, so they have to lift they do the open, then there's an event, then they have to lift for semifinals, then there's another event, maybe the same weekend as the semifinal again. I think it just gets very tricky, especially when they seem to be, from what Jason and Roger said they were on my show over the last couple of weeks, they haven't spoken to CrossFit and they're picking dates, and it's kind of like, it's just not going to function. Like, you just know something's going to clash directly. It'll be like a week after or a week before or two after.
I'm worried about it. I'm not going to lie. I'm worried about it. And I was very optimistic at the beginning of the year. And I, you know, I was hoping that people would be able to talk and get in a room together and try to figure it out moving forward. And I just don't know that that's going to be the case. I mean, I've spoken to both sides, and I don't know. And then I also, you know, and I don't know what that means, you know, because I do think ultimately people are going to choose. And then I think we're going to be, you know, live golf and PGA. I mean, I have a feeling that's going to happen for a little while. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but I do feel like
I mean, listen, they'd have to add another 0 to some of the contracts if they want to do that.
They might.
I think you're
right. They might.
You can't, like, I don't know many that would say. I just feel like you'll have a repeated this year where people sign their contract, and then do one event, don't do the rest, or don't do any, and then just show up for the final, and, you know, whatever. Like, I think you'll have a lot more of that happening, rather than people, unless they change the numbers, rather than people saying, okay, yeah, fuck it, I just won't do the game season.
Unless they change the numbers. Right.
Yeah.
You're right. And
they seem to have deep pockets, so who knows?
But
I don't know. I don't know how much public support that would garner. Like, I don't know how, like, for twisting your arm, I don't know how much people would be like, oh, that's fine. I
don't know. With that. I don't know. And listen, I want athletes to have opportunities. I want athletes to have more opportunities to compete than, you know, just once. And I'd love for us to build this thing. You know, you look at individual sports, not team sports, because team sports, generally there's one big culmination, right? It's the Super Bowl, it's the World Series, it's that. But if you look at individual sports, it's not the case. Individual sports, there's multiple events, you know, and, you know, the only ones that I can refer to, right? The top individual sports in the world, I would say golf, tennis. I mean, I'll put F1 in there because I love it, but these multiple events that you get, and you get multiple events that you get to go and compete, and the
other thing we sort of have that though, when you have like the games. I know I think the fittest on earth the games will always be the pinnacle. I don't think it's going to be very difficult for anything else to ever come in. It would have to be perfect and incredibly well programmed and incredibly well supported by the public. And then still take years to get to that level that the games has had.
But I would like to work.
We had like the games. We had like, say, the games, Rogue, like a couple of months later. Now we have Wadapalooza SoCal in between. Rogue, Wadapalooza. I know they're not linked, but there's multiple opportunities there where you could earn upwards of, like, you know, $500,000 if you did your season.
Well, Wadapalooza, not last year.
No, as in like cumulatively or whatever. Yeah, like if you a couple of top fives, you know what I mean? Like maybe win one of them and a couple of top fives at the other.
Yeah, I think that's possible for the top 3 or so to make decent money from earnings. But I think especially this year, you look at the purse of the games, it was like, whoa, you know. I mean, I think second was the same as fifth a couple of years ago, and I just think, like, you know, and listen, I don't think there's any question that things have changed a little bit in the last couple of years in general, you know, and it's a little bit worrisome, and you know, I just would love, and I think in the long run, to work towards creating a season that had more opportunities for big events. And when I say big events, I mean the best in the world competing at the same event multiple times. And that doesn't have to be 7 times, but similar to the other individual sports that we see, which
Yeah.
could be 3 times, 3 or 4 times. And it's also better, I think, for the fans. It gives them a better opportunity to see people and root for their top, their favorite athletes. But it's also really important for sponsorship. Like, sponsors want there to be events that, that have the best athletes in the world. That tends to be a big thing, in other sports. And I also think it creates an incredible amount of content, and I've always talked about as much as people may hate it, but I've always talked about the idea of a F1 type, right? Like a Drive to Survive for CrossFit that would allow us to follow a season, and I just think it lends itself incredibly well to something like that. And I would love to see it, I'm all for whatever we think is going to be able to drive, everything together. And right now I just don't feel like we have it,
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we're probably going to just get more. I mean, like some of the sponsorship money is nuts. Like when you hear what some of the athletes are getting for sponsorship,
Oh,
and you're like, wow, okay, that's like not insubstantial at all.
yeah.
I think we're going to see more of that, where events like, say, tier with Wadapalooza, where it's like, okay, here's your contract, and you'll see in that second line there it says that you go to Wadapalooza and you compete. I
Right. You
think
got
there's
to
going to be a
compete.
lot of that kind of stuff happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I
Might
think it's
be.
just going to be, it's just going to get hard. Like, it's just going to get really hard. Like, Dallin's coming on the show tomorrow. He's a tier athlete, so he does the game
Yep.
season and he wants to win the games. And then he like tier SoCal Wadapalooza. So it's like, well, he's probably going to have to do that. And then it's Rogue, but he's not going to skip that. And then it's like tier Wadapalooza in March. It's like, well, he's probably going to want to do that. And then the game season again. And then in the middle, he's got these 4 events, or 5, you include the finals. It just gets very condensed very quickly, where I think a lot at the start, a lot of people were saying, well, you train smart and it's up to the coaches and the athletes to figure out a way. And it's like, okay, cool. But you've only got so much rope. You've only got so much rope. And then you're just going to hang yourself because you're just going to burn yourself into the ground. Yeah.
Alex would have been part of this. Like, she was in it. You know what I mean? Obviously, like one WFP, wins NorCal, was training then for the games. We have to do the games. Then was going to have to do Mesa. And then she was on the roster this upcoming weekend. And then, Rogue, and then WFP. Yeah, fuck, it's a lot, man. I'm not disputing that. I love that, some of the athletes are able to make more money and have opportunities, but I also think they're going to feel it. There's no question. It's hard. This is a fucking hard sport, right? I mean, like, I would argue it may be the hardest. It may be the toughest to prepare for, how much time they're spending. And I mean, multiple sessions a day, multiple hours, multiple sessions a day, and the toll that it takes on your body, the fact you have to be so good at so many things. I mean, it's no joke, man. It's brutal. And there has to be a dedicated off season. If there's not, the shelf life of these athletes is going to be 3 years. You know what I mean? You're going to see your best athletes for 3 years, and they're going to be out of the sport. And I don't want that. Nobody wants that. So yeah, I mean, it's an imperfect system without question. And I don't know what the right answer is, but I know for a fact that if there's a lack of communication between all these people that are putting on these events, that we're not going to get any fucking closer to where we want to go. I mean, I just know it, and so, I mean, I wish these people would talk, It's frustrating.
What's the story with Alex then? Will she be ready for Rogue, or what's happening there?
That's the plan. I don't want to say something and then not have it. The plan is to compete at Rogue.
Okay.
I can tell you, if Rogue was next week, she would not be competing.
Okay, so it'll come down to the wire, really.
Here's the deal. She can do a lot of things. She can do a lot of things she couldn't do before. And the bottom line is this, but I want to get like a good block of training in where I can beat her up a little bit and see how her body responds, because Rogue programming is really fucking hard. And I would be doing her a disservice if we throw her in the rug and she hasn't been able to do everything and do it well. I don't want her to just go there and show up and, wave and come in fucking 16th. You know what I mean? Like I want to go there with
the athlete's already going there to do that. That's covered.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. So
she could, she could go to Crash like a couple of weeks before. She could do Crash. And then that would be a little tester.
Perfect. Just do Crash before then.
Yeah. It's ideal.
Yeah.
Listen, thanks for coming on. It's really great to talk to you. Congrats on your move. Good luck with everything, and good luck to Ivy as well. Hope everything works out as well as possibly can. I mean, that's just like crushing. I can't even imagine. I don't want to really imagine it too much. But yeah, she's lucky to have, someone strong around her who can just pretend everything's fine when you need to pretend everything's fine. It's admirable though, like putting her first like that is like, it's not easy to, you built Underdogs to then just be like, all right, okay, need to focus on her. So yeah, I'm really impressed. Good luck with everything. And
thanks.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
What is it? Monday. Dallin's on tomorrow at the same time this show started at, so noon or whatever, 8 p.m. And then hopefully we'll do a debate. Do you want to do a debate on Wednesday? Any interest in that? Same time?
What time? Same time?
Like noon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll text you after. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Justin.
Bye, guys.